Part 89. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 881. Chapter 881 Think Clearly. Have said that, let's go back. The Howe family pharmacy has nothing to do with you. You have forgotten that you have sold the prescriptions. I have managed these properties of the Howe family bit by myself and have nothing to do with you. Besides, who do I want to use for my property? Do you need to worry about it? I'll just rest assured. From now on, my pharmacy will be managed by Zhigang and the others. My brothers are getting older, so just worry about your own health. Stop worrying about your sister's family property. I am a married daughter, so I will throw away the water. It has nothing to do with you. Zhang Xiaoxiu's words block all roads. Uncle Hao's face darkened. Rugjiu, no matter what, I am still your brother. How can you have today's industry because of the secret recipe of Zuyan Dan that the Hao family started? Without the secret recipe of the Hao family's Zuyan Dan, how could you afford to buy it now? Shop. Don't forget the well digger when you are drinking water. You cannot become the water thrown away by your married daughter now that you have benefited. This is not possible. The secret recipe belongs to our Hao family. This is to act rogue. Brother, do you want me to repeat what I just said? The secret recipe cost 1 million at the beginning, and I bought it from you. Are you trying to go back on your word now? Zhang Xiaoxiao was not happy either. Uncle Hao and the others would not embarrass them if they stopped. After all, don't look at the monk's face to see the Buddha's face. For the sake of the old lady and Hao's Zhigang, as well as the children of the next generation who are serious about studying, Zhang Xiaoxiao felt that their parents should be given a chance. Besides, Hao's Zhigang is not an indifferent person, and the Hao family's pharmacy is running well. Children will receive more benefits in the future. Won't leave any child alone. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't want to get a share of the profits. Although it was agreed that the profits would be 50/50ths, in fact, Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't feel that he needed the profits. When she leaves in the future, she will return the Hao family medicine store to Zhao intact. But it seems that people like Uncle Hao want to make their shameless faces even more shameless. How can this be called reneging on your promise? These secret recipes originally belonged to the Hao family. We never said we would sell them. You yourself willingly took out the 1 million and distributed it to all of us. What does it have to do with our Hao family's secret recipe? Let's talk about our Hao family's Zuyan pill. This is a super-grade Zuyan pill. How can it be worth 1 million? Uncle Hao refused to admit it and made up his mind that Zhang Xiaoxiao could not do anything to him. How can you still hit someone? He is still her eldest brother, and Zhang Xiaoxiao can't do anything to them even though he has the reputation of being the successor to the god of medicine. It is because of this that they dare to be so arrogant. In this case, the secret recipe will be returned to you. The pharmacy has nothing to do with you, and we will have nothing to do with you in the future. Take your child back, and let's be different. Zhang Xiaoxiao stood up. If it wasn't just a secret recipe, don't take it if you don't want it. Their shops do not rely on Zuyan Dan to make a living. Uncle Hao was instantly petrified. This was not what they wanted. Little sister, wait a minute. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Uncle Hao strangely. What else do you need to tell me? I have returned the Hao family's secret recipe to you. If you have the ability, you can continue to sell it for 1 million yuan. What else do we have to say now? No, little sister, you are also a member of the Hao family. There is no need to do this. We really want to help you. You are now the successor of the medicine god. You will be very busy. You are the glory of the Hao family. We will do everything else. We can do it for you, really, we are here to help you. Uncle Hao was a little anxious. They were not here to sever ties with his sister. If so, they would not be able to take advantage of Hao Rugjiu. They are not stupid either. If they have a secret recipe, even if Haurugzio can sell it for 1 million, it will be great. But with the golden name of Haurugzio, it's more than 10 million. Just now they were threatening Haurugzio, but in fact Haurugzio was angry and they felt guilty. The children of the family finally found a legitimate job. This is different from the unpopular jobs outside. It is to study medicine. When they found out about it, they felt that the next generation was not completely useless after all. At least Nang Pharmaceutical will not perish one day because of the decline of the family. Now that Haurugzio drives people away, how can he learn his craft? This was not their original intention. Don't call me little sister. We haven't seen each other for so many years, and even if we meet, we don't have any feelings for each other. I am willing to help the Hao family for my grandma's sake, and because Hao's Higang has a lot of backbone and has nothing to do with you. Since you want to play with me now and go back on your word, then I don't need to be polite. Take away your people and the secret recipe. I will feed the dog the previous 1 million. But from now on, my property will not have anything to do with you. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. I am now a pharmacist of the Medicine God Association. According to the rules, I have the right to sue you for fraud. At that time, you will be exiled to Kunlun Mountain. Think clearly for yourself. Don't force me to do something so extreme. We don't have any feelings to consume. I am not a doormat. You can move me with the righteousness of the Hao family. I am who I am. Get out of my sight now. Step aside. Uncle Hao couldn't help but be frightened by Zhang Xiaoxio's words to get out of the way. The aura on Zhang Xiaoxio's body was so fierce that it could destroy the world, and the murderous intent in his eyes made Uncle Hao absolutely believe that this man had murderous intentions. Silently step aside. Hao's Higang sighed. Obviously his aunt has given such a good opportunity to a good family, and following his aunt, the next generation of the Hao family can be cultivated. Now, uncles, do you also want to imitate the uncle and take your younger brothers away? Hope they don't get confused. Auntie was obviously really angry. What Hao's Higang is most worried about is that if his aunt completely ignores them, the Hao family will be doomed. Auntie has now obtained the entrance certificate to the Medicine God Association. It really doesn't matter to her whether there is a Hao family or not. Not for the sake of their dedicated help, now my aunt can leave the Hao family alone. What is the relationship between and others? Threaten? No. Hao's Higang never thought about it, and the old lady would never agree. There are still people in the Hao family who are upright, and it is impossible for him to threaten his aunt with his identity. They owe others a favor, and if they are still dissatisfied and try to use it to restrain their aunt, then they are really rotten to the core. Hao's Higang didn't bother to do this. He would not be so mad as this. The other uncles and uncles shook their heads immediately. This was not their intention. Higang, we don't mean that that's your uncle's own idea. The business is naturally up to your aunt. She invests in her own medicine. It's amazing that our children can learn pharmaceutical technology. How can it be possible that people are still so heartless? Yes. We never said that your aunt is our younger sister. How could she do something that disregards brotherhood? That's what your uncle wanted to do. Uncle Hao said angrily, you are all duplicitous. You obviously agreed, but now when you see others don't agree, you immediately turn against them. I misjudged you, and you actually put all the blame on me alone. I don't have brothers like you. Sour away in anger. Hao's Higang sent the person out. Uncle and uncle, please don't mess around in the future. You should also try to persuade my uncle. If the trouble is ugly, it will be the younger brothers and sisters who end up losing more than they gain. When my aunt is well, it is the Hao family that will benefit. Hope they can think clearly. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 882. Chapter 882 Regret. How Junja and his sister Hao Yun returned home in confusion. Dad, what did you do? As expected, Uncle Hao felt regretful when he saw his youngest daughter and son coming back. I should have known better than to make trouble like this. The victim now is his daughter and son. What can I do? And what's your tone? I'm your father, it's your turn to accuse me. People with a guilty conscience usually use another way to cover up. Hao Junja sighed. Dad, sixth brother said that we don't have to go to the alchemy room to study in the future. I asked why and he asked me to come back and ask you. What did you do to make Aunt angry? They are not children. Although he is not old, he has seen the ups and downs of human relationships over the years, so he naturally knows that it is not easy to have such an opportunity. Your aunt is angry when she's angry. What does it have to do with me? Well, you don't have to go. It's useless if you go. Anyway, your aunt doesn't care about me as an eldest brother. Not to mention the Hao family, everything they do is selfish. She only cares about herself. What can you learn from her? It's just right at home. If you go there, you'll be doing free work for others. You can go to school well at home and do your own things. Uncle Hao said something back. Hao Junja knew at a glance that his father wanted to save face. Even if he was wrong, he would never admit it verbally. Just by saying these words to him, he knew that his father must have done something to offend his aunt. That's why my aunt was so angry and wanted to send the two of them home. She didn't see that the six brothers only informed the two of them, but not the other younger brothers and sisters. It proves that the other uncles and uncles made a very wise choice, but his father must have done something outrageous and directly angered his aunt. Dad, after so many years, why can't you see clearly, in our West City, what we eat is the ancient medical community. If we want to be ordinary people, why don't we go to the outside world? What if you really feel like giving in and just being an ordinary person? Then why don't I go outside with my younger brothers, sisters, brother, and sister? At least you can get to know the outside world by working outside, and living outside is much easier than living in Zishi. Consumption is not that high either. If you admit it, then our family will move out and forget everything about this place from now on. Are you willing to just be an ordinary person? Hao Junja naturally knew his father's thoughts and was unwilling to be an ordinary person. However, his preference was as high as the sky and his life was as thin as paper. He did not have the ability himself, and his descendants did not have such talented people. So it's like this now, no matter whether you are high or low, you are not as good as an ordinary person in Zishi, because an ordinary person will accept his fate. It just so happened that his father had a once glorious family, so he was unwilling to accept it. Uncle Hao was embarrassed, but he couldn't say anything to let his descendants leave together. There is greed and desire in my heart, but I am still unwilling to do so. Why can't they do it? Other families can be popular and drink spicy food in Zishi, but the Hao family has declined to this day. The property that wants to take the younger sister is not to let the family stand up again. Of course, if I say that I have no selfish motives, I'm afraid it's really a lie. At least from the bottom of his heart, he really wanted future generations to take this opportunity to stand up again and glorify their ancestors again. Me. Dad, my aunt is a genius that is rare for thousands of years. In the laboratory, my aunt taught us a lot. Many of the methods of preparing secret recipes have never been thought of or thought deeply about before. My aunt uses scientific formulas from Western medicine, integrated with traditional Chinese medicine. With slight improvements in the formula, even people like us who are not mentally strong enough or talented enough can refine elixirs of at least level 5, 6, and level 7 or 8 without any problem. As long as we practice more and use it skillfully, we can even do it with level 10 elixirs one day. Although we are not as good as my aunt, we used to be unable to make at least 3rd and 4th level elixirs. That's what you think. Do you have any ideas about how worthy your aunt is? Auntie never hid anything from us, let alone her talents and knowledge. Instead, she tried her best to help us. On what grounds? Just because she hasn't been with us for so many years and we have no emotional basis for each other, why should she help us like this? Not just for the sake of my great-grandmother, but also for the sake of everyone having the same ancestor. Dad, even though my sister and I can no longer go to my aunt's place to make medicine, I hope you will do less to embarrass my aunt and sixth brother in the future. It is not easy for them. What they are doing now is truly to honor the Howe family and their ancestors. Don't put your selfishness before justice. It harmed other younger brothers and sisters, and also harmed the Howe family. Howe Junja turned around and went out, feeling deeply disappointed and pained in his heart. I thought that I would finally have a chance to change my destiny. Who knew that my father would be so unclear? To be careful at this time would be to destroy the hope of the family and the hope of their brothers and sisters. But even so, he did not resent his aunt. If the aunt doesn't play such a cruel trick, and other younger brothers, sisters, and even uncles follow her example, the Howe family will really be doomed. Now my aunt's killing has served as a warning to others. At least it has alerted other uncles and younger brothers and sisters. Let them concentrate and become one. Maybe the Howe family can have hope, just like sixth brother did. Sixth brother treated his aunt wholeheartedly, and never had a trace of care or concealment. It was also because of that auntie's treatment of sixth brother was completely different from her treatment of them. Auntie has never had any trust in brother six. Hao Yun also left, and the little girl went back to the house to cry sadly. She never thought that the medicine she loved so much would be destroyed by her father, and she would never be able to make medicine again from now on. I can no longer learn new knowledge and change my life together with my elder brother, younger brother, older sister, and younger sister. Uncle Hao sat in a chair dejectedly, recalling the decades of his life scene by scene. He suddenly felt that he was not as good as his children. Children are at least calm and know what to do, but what about him? The edges have been blunted by reality. While thinking about reviving the family, at the same time thinking about seeking personal gain by any means necessary, what kind of person am I? How can a person like me deserve to ask my sister to give up my property with licking my face? Looking back now, he suddenly felt his face burning up. He was worse than the children. Uncle Hao looked at the children's disappointment and made up his mind that he had been like this for the rest of his life, but he could not let himself harm the children. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 883. Chapter 883 Changes. Hao's Higang stood outside Zhang Xiao's small door, hesitating for a long time without daring to knock on the door. The uncle came to him in person today, apologizing and apologizing. He wanted to see his aunt. He could see that the uncle was sincere this time, but he didn't know if his aunt was willing to see the uncle. If you refuse, will the younger brother and sister really not be able to come back? Of course he knew that his younger brothers and sisters were all good, but this time he was really troubled by his uncle. But the things that the uncle did are really chilling, not to mention that the aunt is not from the Howe family at all. Even a member of the Howe family would feel chilled if faced with such a thing personally, and would not want to do anything to help the Howe family anymore. But he knew that his aunt was upright and broad-minded, so what happened that day, his aunt just dealt with his uncle and younger siblings and had nothing to do with anyone else. He still trusted him so much, and still handed over all his knowledge to the alchemist. Brothers and sisters, from this point of view, their family members are not as good as their aunt. Such a person deserves the title of successor to the god of medicine. Although my aunt is not a descendant of their ancient medical profession, my aunt's mind, vision, medical skills, and abilities are enough to make them admire her. Song Xian came out. Tomorrow my mother will go to the Medicine God Association to officially start her studies. At that time, my mother will live in the Medicine God Association. The Medicine God Association has a special school. The school here takes care of food and housing. Of course, it is not completely closed. But her mother has told her that in order to concentrate on finding a way to save her father in the Medicine God Association, her mother said that unless something serious happened, she should try not to go to her. Song Zian felt that she had to do some work before her mother went to school, so she just took advantage of Zhang Xiaoxiu's unpreparedness and attacked her mother with mental power. The reason for this is that Zhang Xiaoxiu fainted directly, and then used her mental power to slowly nourish Zhang Xiaoxiu's mental power. In this case, once mother goes to school, her abilities will improve a lot. Furthermore, Song Zian deliberately planted a ray of her consciousness into her mother, so that if she encountered a powerful attack, she would be able to feel it immediately. Of course, the ray of consciousness she left behind could protect her mother. This is the only thing she can do now. In the room, Song Zian already felt that Hao Zhigang was walking around outside, which was very annoying. We have been walking for 2 hours, and we are not afraid of wearing holes in the floor. Close the door with a cold and arrogant expression. Hao Zhigang said. The daughter born to my aunt is like a monster. Every time I face this girl, I feel trembling. Where is aunt? Have you rested? Hao Zhigang knew that Zhang Xiaoxiu was very busy and had to study at the Medicine God Association tomorrow. The Medicine God Association has a special training school. All doctors in this school are doctors who have passed the assessment of the Medicine God Association and must receive systematic training there. Of course, no one knows the training program and the content of the training, but every student from there will become a legend of the West City that everyone looks up to. Auntie told her a lot of things, not only hoping that she can take care of things outside, so that Auntie can concentrate on studying there without any distractions. Auntie came here just for the rejuvenating pill. I definitely don't have the heart to care about their nonsense now. You are a real person. I know what you want to do. Don't you just want to plead with my mother? You want your younger brothers and sisters to go back to the alchemy room to study and forgive your uncle. You have a backbone. You have a backbone. It's good to be loyal, but too soft-hearted. The consequences of such a soft-hearted attitude will be that you will not be able to accomplish great things in the future. If the Hao family really wants to stand again among the medical families in the ancient medical world, then as the next generation, you are likely to be the head of the family. How can you convince others with your methods? How can you intimidate others? At least there should be clear rewards and punishments. If you can't even do this, how can you ask others to think that you will uphold justice? Do things fairly. If you are wrong, you are wrong. If you are wrong, you must admit your mistake. It's not like your younger brothers and sisters are geniuses at refining medicine. If they are not allowed to continue learning how to refining medicine, their talents will be ruined for the rest of their lives. I took a look at them and they are just third-rate pharmacists. If this is really the case, you might as well give them a new world and let them do more things. If the Hao family wants to develop and grow in the ancient medical world in the future, it will need more than just alchemists. There is a lot of work to be done, and a lot of people are needed. Could it be that you trap them all in the alchemist, and everyone is going to refine the alchemy, and who will do the other things? You see, the children trained and cultivated by the big families can be involved in all aspects. There are some families whose children, even if they are geniuses, have to sacrifice their own talents in order to protect the geniuses of other families. Do other auxiliary work, that is the cornerstone for a family to unite and move forward. Yet you have such narrow vision, such small-mindedness, and such soft-heartedness. If you say that your family will never be destroyed, I feel that God is very unfair. Song Zian's words made Hao Zhigang blush. Pop. Someone applauded. Song Zian had long noticed that Uncle Hao and Mrs. Hao were standing at the corner of the stairs. Her words were actually meant for them. No matter whether Uncle Hao truly repented or was hypocritical, a person who did something wrong should take responsibility and accept punishment. If he couldn't even do this, and Hao's Higang relented today and asked his mother to promise his younger siblings to come back, it would have no deterrent effect on others in the future. Everyone dares to make mistakes, and the cost of making mistakes is not high anyway. If you really want to be good to the Hao family, what you should do is to act vigorously and resolutely as a family member, with clear rewards and punishments. Only in this way can you win the trust of others and gather the unity of everyone and move forward with one heart. This is the cohesion of a family. If it weren't for the fact that her mother had helped the Hao family so much, Song Zian would not be willing to say these words. It's not like I'm in a hurry. I'm not crazy about using my own experience to teach Hao's Higang. Higang, as an adult, you are not as sensible as a child. Look at your aunt's daughter. Such a little person can think so clearly, but you, such an adult, have not even thought about this matter. You still have a long way to go in the future and a lot to learn, so learn well from your aunt. If you can learn even a little bit of your aunt's skills, maybe our Hao family can also gain a foothold in Zishi. The old lady said. Uncle Hao said with shame, the root of this matter is that I am blamed, and it has nothing to do with Zhigang. It is my own fault. Indeed, if the children do not learn to refine medicine, they still have a lot of things to do. Every big family, what is needed in all aspects is talents, and what is also needed is the concerted efforts of brothers and sisters. The two of them can do other things. They can even form a team to lead a team to collect herbs in the mountains. If our Hao family wants to develop in the long term, we must have our own herb collection team. It is also time for each of them to experience and practice. Uncle Hao has really changed a lot. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 884. Chapter 884. 9 needles pass through the acupuncture points. Early in the morning, Zhang Xiaoxiao was carrying his backpack. Because I live on campus, there are quite a lot of things that need to be brought. Yesterday, someone introduced the process to her in detail. This morning, she only needs to go to the special pickup and drop-off point of the Medicine God Association. During this time in the morning, she can wait for the special car from the Medicine God Association. Of course, this is a treatment only for freshmen, as for old students. From now on, I will go to school by myself. Mainly it was my first time to go to school and I didn't know the address of the school. When Zhang Xiaoxiao saw the old and broken car, he was a little stunned. The Medicine God Association is not that poor, I remember it clearly. When I went to do the test yesterday, the decoration inside the Medicine God Association was magnificent. In the eyes of everyone, the entire Medicine God Association shines like a rich man, but the car that can pick him up now is too shabby. The driver rolled down the window and shouted at her. The old man with a beard looks so sloppy that people can't help laughing. Hurry up and get in the car, you can't park here, you will be fined for parking. Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly walked over and pulled the car door twice, but it didn't open. Awkward. Wait, I'm coming. The old man with the white beard got out of the car, turned to the car door in front of Zhang Xiaoxiao and pulled hard twice, but he was embarrassed and didn't open it. He smiled at Zhang Xiaoxiao a little awkwardly and said, "Step aside and you'll be fine, just a moment." Zhang Xiaoxiao had no choice but to step away, and saw the old man raising his foot and kicking the car door fiercely. Then the magical car door opened. This car may be old despite its age, but it was our first car in the West Market back then. When we bought it back then, it attracted a lot of attention. Our Medicine God Association relied on this car back then, and it was simply a sight to behold. Unparalleled. Don't underestimate it, it's probably older than your grandfather's grandfather. The old man with the white beard went back and got in the car, explaining nonchalantly. Zhang Xiaoxiao got in the car and realized that she was not the only one in the car. There is also a boy and a girl. The boy was sitting in the front seat with an arrogant expression. He glanced at her, then withdrew his gaze, minding his own business and sitting in front without saying a word. The girl stepped aside in a friendly manner. My name is Bai Xiao. I am a freshman like you. Put your backpack on. I can lean against the window. She looks like a kind girl at first glance. I am Haorug Jiao, this is my first time meeting you, please take good care of me. Zhang Xiaoxiao will not hesitate to show his kindness when meeting enthusiastic and kind people. Moreover, the little girl in front of him is obviously very simple and kind. Are you Haorug Jiao? Oh my god, I have admired your name for a long time. Yesterday, your name was resounding throughout the entire West City. Didn't you see that today's newspaper headlines were full of news about you? You are now a hot successor to the god of medicine. I really didn't expect that I could meet you and sit with you, come and shake hands with you. I have to see what kind of magic the descendant of the medicine god has. Hold Zhang Xiaoxiao's hand enthusiastically. Zhang Xiaoxiao really didn't know. Is it such a big fuss? She is so famous now. Wherever there is, let's learn together and make progress together. In fact, I don't know anything. Zhang Xiao's novel is true. The boy in front snorted coldly. Hypocrisy. Zhang Xiaoxiao paused, and the atmosphere in the car suddenly became tense. The white-bearded old man stepped on the accelerator. Let's drive. He was unprepared, mainly because the old man stepped on the accelerator, and then the boy in front stuck to the windshield in front of him in a strange posture. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Bai Xiao bumped into the seat in front. Grandpa Hu, can you be more reliable? Bai Xiao complained and touched his head, before she could continue to complain. Zhang Xiaoxiao had already opened the car door and got out of the car. Hit someone. A young man was hit and fell to the ground with blood all over his head. Zhang Xiaoxiao rushed forward and quickly checked the injured person's injuries. Then he was slightly startled when he saw the blood-stained face. It was Fan Jingkui. It was really a bad fate. I and Fan Jingkui met again and again. Zhang Xiaoxiao was suspicious, and it was hard for Fan Jingkui to hit him again, and then he was really hit. No wonder she thinks so. Fan Jingkui has a criminal record here, and he is the type who refuses to change despite repeated admonitions. I felt a little disappointed. I thought that Fan Jingkui would change after the last drug gambling incident. After all, I had helped him a lot, and Fan Jingkui had a lot of money in his hands. It should be no problem to take care of his brother-in-law and treat him as a doctor, but he actually ran out to have trouble with her again. I am still a little soft-hearted, and I should know that dogs cannot change their eating shit. After careful inspection, Fan Jingkui was hit hard enough this time. Get started, don't pretend to understand if you don't understand. A strong force pushed Zhang Xiaoxiao aside, and Zhang Xiaoxiao staggered due to the push. The boy has started to feel his pulse. Of course, Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that Fan Jingkui was in critical condition. He just did a simple examination and did not have time for treatment. It's because I have my own concerns and there is still some hesitation. Here in Zishi because it is inherited from the ancient medical community. All hospitals and clinics in West City also provide treatment, but they all follow ancient Chinese medicine treatment methods such as acupuncture and moxibustion. They can prescribe any Chinese medicine pills, but injections, medicines, and surgeries are absolutely not allowed. Western medicine is strictly prohibited in this place. Once you violate this regulation, you will be expelled. If you are a local in the West Market, you will be exiled to Kunlun Mountain. If you are an outsider, you will not be allowed to enter the West Market to trade and study. The moment Zhang Xiaoxiao hesitated just now was thinking about what he should do. Fan Jingkui was injured and his internal organs were bleeding. If he did not undergo surgery, he would have to use his own magic weapon. But she doesn't have a relatively good medicine that she can justifiably take out. The medicines in her hand are just ordinary pills. You can't say that you can give the other person a whiff of a pill to eat and it will stop the bleeding and heal. No one will believe it. Zhang Xiaoxiao is worried. As a result, the boy went up and gave her a contemptuous look. Zhang Xiaoxiao is speechless. Whose family does this naughty kid belong to? What should I do if I want to hit someone with my fist? The result was unexpected. I found that the child moved very quickly. After checking his pulse, he quickly opened his backpack. Took out a set of acupuncture tools. Indeed, this set of acupuncture tools seemed to be passed down from ancestors. This is a silver needle. Zhang Xiaoxiao's eyes narrowed slightly. Boys have sharp hands and corners. 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 3 stitches. A total of 9 needles. The technique was unique, mainly using the silver needle, and Fan Jingkui's complexion improved instantly. Zhang Xiaoxiao was shocked. This should be the most famous 9-needle acupuncture point of the Wu family that Mrs. Hao had introduced to him. There are really such powerful means. Zhang Xiaoxiao continued to check and found that Fan Jingkui had actually stopped bleeding, and there were obvious signs of improvement. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 885. Chapter 885 Rescue. 9 needles passed through the acupuncture point. You are from the Wu family. Zhang Xiaoxiao still has great respect for people with abilities. Although boys' upbringing is not to be praised, their abilities are impressive. I cannot deny this. My name is Wu Yang, the descendant of the Wu family who has 9 acupuncture points. I am here specifically to compete with you. I want to see how powerful you, the successor of the medical god, can make my grandfather turn his elbows outward. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. The tone in Wu Yang's mouth was the envy of a child who couldn't get any candy. She said there is no such thing as hatred without reason. It turns out that the root is here. Wu Yang, please give me some advice. It's really amazing how you can pass 9 needles through the acupuncture points. This is also the first time Zhang Xiaoxiao has seen such powerful acupuncture. She studied Western medicine and acupuncture. She had heard that a certain old Chinese medicine practitioner had good acupuncture skills and how he could treat diseases and save people. However, she had not really studied Chinese medicine, so she naturally did not understand it. This is the first time to experience the magic of Chinese medicine. Similarly, surgery is not used to treat diseases and save lives. Fan Jingkui suffered serious internal bleeding and injuries after being hit by a car. Under normal circumstances, when he was taken to the hospital by ambulance, he would be immediately sent to the operating room for surgery. But now 9 silver needles can directly solve the problem, and it is obvious that Fan Jingkui has not only stopped the bleeding, but his complexion is gradually recovering, which proves that the injuries in the body are recovering. In other words, after acupuncture with golden needles, it not only stopped the bleeding, but also had a therapeutic effect. Of course, Wu Yang finally stuffed a pill into Fan Jingkui's mouth, which must have played a role in recovery. Zhang Xiaoxiao has already seen the magic of traditional Chinese medicine in Zishi. She used the effect of peaches in her own space to improve the quality of the medicine. It just increases the level of the medicine. To be honest, if the pharmacist in West City refines the level 10 elixir by himself, it will have the same effect as his own level 10 elixir. It's just that I used a cheating method to directly skip the refining failure process of levels 5, 6, 7, and 8, and directly jump to level 10. Even super quality. But the effect is the same, which means that the pills here can really be effective in one pill. Compared to those of Western medicine, the medicine here really has many miraculous effects. Of course, she has seen a lot of traditional Chinese medicine outside, but the effects of traditional Chinese medicine are not as good as those here in Zishi. This was also introduced to her by the old lady, because the medicines in Zishi rely on Kunlun Mountain. Pills made from medicines collected near the Kunlun Mountains will be of higher quality and more effective. This is also the reason why their successors in the ancient medical field never leave the West Market. Because leaving the West Market, the efficacy of the medicines outside is greatly reduced, and the effect of the refined elixirs is detrimental to their face, so they would rather suffer here. They also want to stay in Zishi because this is their route. Now let Zhang Xiaoxiao experience the magic of traditional Chinese medicine for once. It seems that I still have some learning to do. Wu Yang could see that Zhang Xiaoxiao really admired him, and said proudly, "Of course, our Wu family's 9 acupuncture is probably the only one in the West Market. Who can surpass our family's acupuncture? If 9 needles cannot save your life, even gods will be hard-pressed to save you." This is their signature. Just as he spoke, Fan Jingkui had already opened his eyes. The moment he saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, Fan Jingkui stood up and knelt down straight in front of Zhang Xiaoxiao. "And how? I came to you specifically. My brother-in-law has passed away. He passed away peacefully with the money you gave me. My brother-in-law didn't suffer in the end. I have been busy with his funeral recently. Now that I have nothing to worry about, please take me in. I will change my ways and live an upright life in the future. I want to repay you for saving my life." He kowtowed 3 times. There was blood on his head. Wu Yang curled his lips and said, "Hey, you are so ignorant. It was me who saved your life just now, but you turn around and regard her as your savior. You are such a white-eyed wolf. If I had known this, I wouldn't have saved you, and I wasted all my 9 needles." Fan Jingkui stood up and kowtowed to Wu Yang again. "Thank you for saving me. People say that a life-saving grace should be repaid by a spring, but there was nothing I could do. And Hao saved me first, and she didn't save me once, but saved me several times. To me, to my brother-in-law, she is a great kindness to our whole family. I have already said in this life that I will repay her. I can only repay the kindness to my benefactor in the next life." Wu Yang was surprised. "He has saved you several times. Please tell me how she saved you." Fan Jingkui told the whole story, and Wu Yang was in awe of Zhang Xiaoxiao. "I simply save people's lives, but the Haorugjiu in front of them saves the heart of the person in front of me. Changing a person's character is different from saving a life. No matter good or bad, people can save this life, as long as they put their efforts into it. But if you want to change a person's thinking and change a person's behavior, this cannot be done simply by using drugs. Make the other party convinced and willing to make changes. I didn't expect you could do it." The old man yelled in the car, "Okay, don't wait around there. Now that the person has been rescued, you should hurry up and get in the car. If you delay the time, it will be good for you." Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Fan Jingkui. "Since you really want to change your ways, go to Hao's Higang and he will arrange it for you. I believe that as long as you have the heart to do it, it's never too late." Although I don't know why the old lady died, I know it by looking at Fan Jingkui's appearance. Fan Jingkui must have experienced a lot in the past few months, since he is willing to change his ways and start a new life. Then I will definitely give him a chance, arrange a job, and let a person learn skills again and integrate into society. This is not a difficult task. Fan Jingkui left with great gratitude. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others got in the car again. "I really didn't expect you two to be so powerful. One can know how to pass 9 needles, and the other is the successor of the famous medicine god. It seems that I am the weakest. I can't know anything and I don't understand anything. Please tell me later. Take good care of me as a newcomer." Bai Xiao looked at the 2 people with stars in his eyes. At first, he felt that the man sitting in the front seat had a proud face, and his stinky look made people want to go up and punch him. But now I know that he is a descendant of the Wu family who knows the most powerful 9 needles acupoints. Just because this person has the capital to be proud, if they are any more proud, others will not be able to say anything about it. Didn't see that the 9 needles just passed through the acupuncture points, and everyone was knocked unconscious, so he was rescued like this. Standing up again, you feel like a lively and energetic person. It takes you many years to learn this skill. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Wu Yang smiled at each other. This girl is really simple. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 886. Chapter 886 Report. Come to school. The 3 people got out of the car in a daze, because the car had been driving for a whole day and a whole night. At the beginning, the 3 of them could still muster up their energy to look at the scenery outside and tell where they were. But the car drove further and further into the suburbs, and based on the current distance, they had already left the city. The road has been bumpy, and the surrounding scenery is unfamiliar to the 3 of them. Later on, when it got dark, I naturally fell asleep, and then it got slightly brighter. The 3 of them were in a daze when they saw the scenery in front of them. It was clearly a barren mountain. There is nothing but 4 3-story buildings in front of you. The school is surrounded by very high fences. This kind of fence is actually made of logs and looks very primitive, but the height of the fence is very high. The arrangement of the 4 3-story buildings is a bit like the courtyard where Zhang Xiaoxiao's family lives. The perimeter of the fence is just some protection outside the walls of the courtyard. The courtyard should be the front and back doors, so they should stand in front of the front door now. There were 2 tall guards here, staring at the 3 of them eagerly. Hurry in, I will send you to the place, my task is completed, I should go back to sleep. The old man with the white beard waved his hand, signaling them to leave quickly, and stepped on the accelerator and drove away like the wind. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the other 3 came to the door. We are freshmen reporting. Come with me, I'll complete the formalities for you, and then you can go directly to school. The guard replied expressionlessly. Zhang Xiaoxiao was suspicious. Why didn't his words seem right? There was a teacher who helped them go through the enrollment procedures, and then gave each of them a number plate, and then took them directly to the backyard. They didn't realize it until they got to the backyard. There are more than 50 people here, huddled together and waiting with their luggage. It seems that these are all new students. Okay, you all have got your number plates. This number plate is your identity mark. You didn't go out through the back door when you saw the dormitory. Over the mountain is our dormitory. Of course, the school campus is also over there. Here is just a reception station for us. There is only one road here. If you all go there together, you can see the school. I want to tell you in advance that you are a freshman and you will encounter many tests on the road. Keep your eyes open and seek blessings for yourself. Zhang Xiaoxiao immediately understood why he felt strange just now, because it was the meaning of what the teacher said. It makes people feel particularly strange. It turns out that this is not a campus at all, and it is obvious that their walk there will not be so smooth. I didn't hear the meaning of the teacher's words, so I opened my eyes wide and asked for blessings. It seems that the old students still have some tests for their new students. But what will the test be like? This is a time of peace. It's unlikely that there will be any robberies. But this is a Sangguang area in Zixi, so I really can't tell if there is something. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't help but feel lucky that she had brought a simple backpack with her. A large part of her stuff was stored in her own space. A group of people set out on the road. No one is familiar with each other. Fortunately, Zhang Xiaoxiao came here with Bai Xiao and Wu Yang, so they can be regarded as barely acquaintances. It is natural for 3 people to follow each other together. Zhang Xiaoxiao was going to help Bai Xiao get a backpack, but there was no other way. This girl brought a lot of luggage. 2 large boxes, 2 backpacks, plus her own scattered bits and pieces. It would be impossible for her to get through in this condition. Because Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that they were probably going to climb a mountain, and even if the mountain road was easy to walk, it would still be difficult to walk. She was worried about Bai Xiao. Apparently Wu Yang's family had introduced him in advance. He was carrying a backpack when he arrived, and he looked about the same as Zhang Xiaoxiao. Although his face was full of disgust, he still helped Bai Xiao carry a suitcase. They walked at the back of the team, with Bai Xiao holding back. There was nothing she could do to make her carry too much luggage, but there were many people who packed small bags like them. So the team became very large and fragmented. After walking for half a day, everyone sat under the shade of a tree to rest. The temperature rose sharply today, and along the way, no one had time to rest. They originally wanted to walk to school in one go. But this journey lasted for several hours in the morning, and we didn't even reach the foot of the mountain. Zhang Xiaoxiao took out the water bottle in his backpack and took a sip of water. There is a water bottle in the backpack, which is used as a cover-up. In fact, the water in the water bottle is water obtained from the spiritual spring in one's own space. I came here to study. I only packed 2 simple pieces of clothes in my backpack. I also thought that I should have a lunchbox and water bottle for eating in school. I had to use these things myself. That's why I installed these 2 things. There was not even a bite of food to eat, from yesterday's day and night to today's whole morning. Even Zhang Xiaoxiao feels hungry now. Most people are like this, because no one thinks of bringing food or drink. Isn't there a canteen in the dormitory where I live on campus? Shouldn't there be shops and kiosks around? You must know that there are many department stores in their West Market, and shopping is not something to worry about at all. Many people bring money, and whoever has nothing to do brings some food. Luggage is not too heavy. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the listless students around him speechlessly. Suddenly I had a bad feeling. This school seemed not so easy to get to. Suddenly someone handed me a pack of biscuits. Zhang Xiaoxiao raised his head, and Bai Xiaoshu flashed his big eyes and said with a smile. "Shwe'er, you eat?" "Shwe'er." Zhang Xiaoxiao had goosebumps all over his body. "Don't call me Shwe'er, my nickname is Xiaoxiao." Because Shwe'er reminded her of a dog she raised at home, she named it Shwe'er, and she didn't want to use the dog's name. You all dislike me for having too much luggage, but now you have discovered that there are advantages to having too much luggage. There are a lot of delicious food in my suitcase and backpack. My mother was afraid that I would be hungry and brought me a lot of things. It will come in handy now. Hurry up and finish it. Bai Xiao patted his backpack proudly. Wu Yang over there was devouring the ham sausage in his hand. It seemed like Wu Yang was just like him. He was probably light-hearted and didn't bring anything with him. "Thank you, but I actually have food in my backpack." Zhang Xiaoxiao took out a lunch box. There were many lunch boxes in his own space. Having learned from the past, why don't you prepare something in your own space? Let's not talk about the piles of rice, wheat and various fruits and vegetables inside. There are also a lot of self-made things in it. Just in case. In the lunch box were steamed buns that she had made in advance. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 887. Chapter 887 Complaint. "Oh, Xiao Xiao, you actually brought steamed buns. Then why didn't you tell me in the car yesterday that I ate so many messy things? The steamed buns are much more delicious than the bread and biscuits, so you have to give them to me. I'll give you biscuits in exchange for your buns." Bai Xiao snatched away the lunch box without politeness and forced the biscuits to Zhang Xiaoxiao. "Hold a lunch box and stuff a bun into his mouth." "Hey, Xiao Xiao, why are these buns still hot? This must be an insulated lunch box at your house." Bai Xiao said to himself, "Zhang Xiaoxiao is so bad. This girl is just a chatterbox. You see, she hasn't stopped talking from yesterday to today. Wu Yang reached over and snatched a bun from the lunchbox and took a bite. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. This bun is so delicious. He did not eat the biscuits and ham sausages in his hand, but just gave them all to Zhang Xiaoxiao. With Bai Xiao, he started to grab the buns in the lunchbox. There were 7 or 8 buns in the lunchbox. However, the meaty aroma of the bun fillings spread immediately, causing the students around them to poke their heads at them. After all, many people didn't bring anything to eat. Such a large team, they have 60 freshmen to report. It is estimated that not many people brought food, and the rest were hungry. Zhang Xiaoxiao believes that other people's experiences are probably the same as theirs, so it's impossible for them to take different journeys. Everyone has been walking all day and all night, and everyone is hungry all morning. I didn't see it, there was something wrong with the way they looked at them. After having eaten and drank enough, the sun was still overhead, but we had to leave. One after another, people got up and continued on their way, and they also started on their way after resting for a while. You can't do it without rest. Bai Xiao saw that he was a squeamish person. Sitting there, I would sometimes complain that my feet hurt, and sometimes my hands would hurt. But no matter how painful it was, I had to walk. I couldn't just sit on the roadside all the time. Seeing that everyone else had almost left, and almost the 3 of them were left, Bai Xiaokai was finally persuaded by Zhang Xiaokai. Carrying the suitcases, the 3 of them continued to chase the large army. It was already dark, and I looked at the deserted mountains and forests. They were really on the verge of crying. Now they finally understood that the teachers who reported these reports didn't care about them at all. How big is this mountain? They are still at the foot of the mountain and have not even climbed over it. Some students who are crooked in the west are leaning on the trees, and some sitting in the grass on the side of the road. Everyone's face is not discouraged. Bai Xiao and Wu Yang are also discouraged now, especially Bai Xiao. I walked such a long way carrying so much luggage, and I thought I could sleep well in the dormitory tonight. It's a good thing now, we're still in the wilderness, and we can't even climb this mountain. They walked for a day and didn't even go up the mountain, let alone the more difficult roads on the mountain. At this rate, it may take several days and nights to get to school. Bai Xiao almost wanted to throw away her luggage, and she really did so. She threw away all the things she didn't need in her luggage. Otherwise, she would have to walk who knows how far. Carrying so many things would be a pain. But now she doesn't even have anything to eat, even if her parents bring them. No matter how much I have, I can't bring you a suitcase, so I can only bring a few bags to eat on the road. Now everyone's share is basically gone. Bai Xiao was so tired that she was about to collapse. The problem was, she couldn't sleep even if she wanted to. There were a lot of mosquitoes in their ears, and now they all flew out and surrounded them, where they kept attacking and attacking them. Bai Xiao almost wanted to cry. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a look. Now that the mosquitoes are out, they must be unsettled, because the weather is too hot, and it is not an option to continue like this. It's not a good idea to have a rest today, and you'll have to rush on the road tomorrow. Judging from the current situation, you may not even be able to get to school tomorrow. I'm afraid it will take a few days to get to school. What they have to solve on the way is food, clothing, housing, and transportation. The first thing to do is to solve the problems of eating, drinking, and resting. If you don't rest well, you will probably collapse in 2 days. She can finally see that the school must have designed this level for everyone to test their patience and adaptability. What a shame. What do the school leaders of the Medicine God Association think? We are all pharmacists and doctors. How can any medical student get such treatment when he comes here? Having to eat or not, to drink or not, is simply making the sky and the earth inoperable. Moreover, there is not even a teacher to lead the way and protect us. If this continues, we will not be punished alive. How much does this have to say to us pharmacists? Wu Yang was frustrated and accused the Medicine God Association of several crimes. That's right. We are obviously here to study medicine. Let us be like this now, and no one is taking care of us. I really feel what the Medicine God Association thinks. Is it deliberately punishing us? I hope we don't go to school, and I hope we don't report to school. Others also expressed their outrage. In everyone's mind, they thought it was just like going to a regular school, especially the school of the Medicine God Association, which was even more prestigious. When you get to the school, you will naturally find a grand and tall school teaching building and a variety of well-equipped dormitories. You must know the development of Zishi. Not only are they ahead of surrounding countries, but they are also considered to be very advanced in construction in the world. Can the schools here, especially the school of the most famous Medicine God Association in West City, be the same as ordinary schools? The spacious and bright dormitories are air-conditioned, equipped with soft beds, neat bookcases and wardrobes, and the cafeteria has a variety of exquisite meals. There are also kind professors who are teaching them carefully. All this is what everyone thinks a school should be like. But let alone what a school looks like now, just looking at this mountain road, they all think that a school in the mountains can be any good. Even if the equipment is sophisticated, how sophisticated can it be? Every one of them complained endlessly. Wu Yang, do me a favor, let's go find some firewood and make a fire together. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't listen to these complaints. The benevolent sees benevolence and the wise see wisdom. In her opinion, so many pharmacists from the Medicine God Association have been able to stand up after so many years of training. Their teaching methods naturally have their own uniqueness. Moreover, the purpose of the Medicine God Association must be to cultivate top talents. They cannot do this casually. They must have deep meaning in doing so. Since this has been done, in addition to accepting it, everyone has to figure out how to adapt to such an environment. If you just complain, what problem can you solve by complaining? Complaining does not mean that you will get to school smoothly. Rather than doing this, it is better to live better and more comfortably in this environment. Have enough to eat and drink, and have a good rest. Zhang Xiaoxiao could survive in such a harsh environment in the educated youth farm, let alone here. Isn't it more tiring here than working in the fields on an educated youth farm? Just do it and it's done. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 888. Chapter 888 The Formation of a Group. Wu Yang looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao stupidly. Are you crazy, lighting a fire, when is this, camping? There is something wrong with this woman's brain. What can you do with a fire? They have no food or water. The weather is so hot that they can kill each other. How can they light a fire to keep warm? Still roast them one by one into jerky. If you want to have a good rest tonight, you'd better light a fire with me quickly. If you light a fire, there will be fewer mosquitoes, and at least you can sleep more comfortably. Zhang Xiaoxiao stood up and took out his flashlight. Wu Yang was dumbfounded. Why do you still carry a flashlight? Oh my God, your bag is like a treasure bag. Looking at other people's bags, and then looking at his own bag, he really feels a little inferior, because he carries it himself. In addition to a few of my favorite clothes, I also have my favorite game console and my nunchucks, which are my favorite things. In addition, I have something to eat and drink. Nothing to drink. He probably has never even thought about such a thing as a flashlight. Who needs a flashlight when going to school? He has studied abroad. Which school still needs students to prepare these things? If he had known that these things would come in handy one day, he would never have pretended to be useless. Stop talking nonsense, pick up some dry branches from the surroundings and make a fire on our bodies. This will drive away mosquitoes. You can also grill and heat the food in the bag, and you can also find some boiling water from the surroundings and boil it. We can keep spare water. Even if everyone has water to drink at night, can you guarantee that you will be able to arrive at school tomorrow? Don't you want to drink water on the way? Making a fire will help us a lot in walking to school in the future. Zhang Xiaoxiu's words immediately made several classmates around them agree. Everyone knew that they would not be able to reach school tomorrow. They originally thought that lighting a fire was useless. It didn't matter to them whether there was light or not, but now they heard with these words, everyone felt a little admired for his wise move. Lighting a fire can indeed drive away mosquitoes, so that everyone can have a better rest at night, and after boiling some hot water to cool it down, the cold boiled water is better than the boiled water. They don't have much spare water on their own. I barely managed to survive for a day today, and I have basically dried up by now. Let alone not drinking water at night. If I can last all night, I can't stop drinking during the day tomorrow. People don't eat, and it can take 3 days to a week. He's starving to death, but if he doesn't drink water, he probably won't last long. Don't even think about climbing over this mountain, just forget about fainting from heat stroke on the mountain. Several boys and girls took the initiative to follow Zhang Xiaoxiao and Wu Yang. It does speed up a lot if everyone works together. Since this is at the foot of the mountain, there are really a lot of dry branches in the woods. Several people picked it up, and everyone picked up a lot, enough for tonight. Zhang Xiaoxiao took out a lighter. Of course, this was due to his own ability to survive several disasters. Things like lighters must be standard equipment in your own space. Someone handed over a book. You must have tinder to make a fire. Just rely on these branches and use a lighter to light it. It consumes too much fuel. No one knows whether it will be needed tomorrow. Everyone is thinking that since they have begun to mentally prepare themselves for not being able to get to school tomorrow, it is more likely that they will not be able to get to school in the next 2 or 3 days. In this case, the lighter will be used in many places in the future, so it must be saved. 7 or 8 classmates from around came to help, and immediately they formed a small group with Zhang Xiaoxiao as the center. Soon the fire was lit and burning brightly. The students sat around the bonfire. I was surprised to find that the mosquitoes no longer circled around them. After the smoke and fire, the mosquitoes actually didn't know where to fly. When we walked over just now, I saw a small stream next to it, but there was no equipment to boil water. With Zhang Xiaoxiao in front, someone immediately put forward their own ideas. I have a wash basin. A fat girl hurriedly opened her suitcase and took out an enamel basin. He said sheepishly, my mother insisted on bringing it with me. I didn't want it and I was too embarrassed to hurt my mother, so I stuffed it in the suitcase. Who would bring a wash basin to live in the dormitory? She originally wanted to go to the dormitory to buy a wash basin like other classmates. But her mother kept nagging her and brought her a lot of things, and now she suddenly felt that she had to thank her own mother. Having this basin can at least boil water. This basin is new. When the boys come back from fetching water, and someone brings some stones, we need to build a stove here at the fire, otherwise we won't be able to boil water with just this fire. Zhang Xiaoxiao has rich life experience and immediately started to tell others to go to work. There was nothing he could do. Who told us that we had never encountered this when we were at the educated youth farm? Soon, a simple stove was built with stones of various sizes, and then part of the fire was moved under the stove. There is a boy above using a wash basin to bring back clean water from the stream. Put it on the stove. After a while, the water on the stove will boil. Put the wash basin aside and let it cool down. Then I filled each student's water bottle with liangbeikai. Many people took a sip of liangbeikai. It feels so good in my heart, even though the water is not as sweet as people imagine. But this is a cold drink that I managed to get for free, which is rare. But after drinking the water, everyone's stomach started to beat. Many people did not bring anything to eat. They had been without food for 2 days and 2 nights. The feeling of hunger was not good at this time. But I also know that don't think about eating. You can find water in the wild, there is a stream, but now it is dark all around. Even if you want to dig some wild vegetables back, you have to be recognized by everyone. Those who can pass the test in the Medicine God Association and become medicine masters must be children with some talents in their families. They are all the proud ones at home and have been pampered and raised. Let them dig wild vegetables and they will recognize it. Zhang Xiaoxiao sighed, now is indeed not the right time. There is rice, flour, even steamed buns, vegetables, and fruits in my own space. But now there is no chance to take it out, so take it out properly. That is to tell others openly that there is a problem here. The food in Bai Xiao's backpack has been consumed by her along the way. This girl thought she could make it to school tonight, but she kept mouthing all the way, and now she had nothing to eat. After drinking a lot of cold drinks, they lay down next to the campfire and slept in their clothes. Zhang Xiaoxiao was leaning against a big rock, but he didn't sleep deeply, and his whole body was still alert. Mainly worried about what kind of wild beasts might appear at night. Because this was an environment they were unfamiliar with, she had already heard it from the old lady. The closer you get to the Kunlun Mountains, the more ferocious the beasts in the mountains become. She became more and more suspicious that the ferocious beasts in the Kunlun Mountains were their so-called Red Flame battlefield. This seems to be a cyclical world, a bit like it is interconnected. But number 10 hit it deeply enough. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 889. Chapter 889 Looking for Food. When the sky was slightly bright, Zhang Xiaoxiao had already stood up. Others are still sound asleep. How have these proud men ever suffered from this? Last night, we were busy making a fire until late at night. Because we were worried about hunger, everyone tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. By the time they fell asleep, it was already close to dawn. So now everyone is sleeping deeply. Zhang Xiaoxiao's movement of getting up startled Wu Yang. Wu Yang yawned and looked at the sleeping people around him and rolled his eyes. If bad people come here, they will sell people out in the middle of the night without even knowing it. What are you going to do? Seeing Zhang Xiaoxiao walking away with a wash basin, he hurriedly asked. I went to the creek to wash my face, and then brought a basin of water back to boil water for everyone. It was already dawn, and I looked around to see if I could find any wild fruits, vegetables, or anything to eat. There is no food at Bai Xiao's place. We still have one day today. If we don't have something to eat in our stomachs, I guess we won't be able to climb this mountain today. And no one knows how many days it will take to climb this mountain. If we don't quickly find a way to be self-sufficient, the days to come will be really difficult. We can't be so hungry every day. Zhang Xiaoxiao naturally wanted to find a good reason to take out the things in his space, but could not take out other things. I should be able to bring out some vegetables and the like, plus potatoes and sweet potatoes, which are definitely enough to keep me occupied. Originally, I thought of burying a little bit in the soil when no one was prepared, and then taking the opportunity to dig it out myself. This was a legitimate reason, but now I didn't expect Wu Yang to wake up. This is equivalent to one more obstacle. I'll go with you. When Wu Yang heard about the food, his stomach thundered like a drum. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, then let's take a look. The two of them went to the stream and washed their faces. Oh, Xiaoxiao, I just saw a few small fish over there. Otherwise, let's split up into 2 groups. You go look for any wild fruits, vegetables, etc. nearby. I'll think of a solution here. Catch the fish. It doesn't matter if you make fish soup, it's better than nothing. Wu Yang was excited the moment he saw the fish. This is food, and it can be eaten alive. The first time he noticed that when he saw a fish, his saliva secretion accelerated rapidly. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded, okay, then you have to pay attention to safety. Wu Yang's proposal was a godsend. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked toward the forest on the edge. I am seriously looking for edible plants in the wild. After all, sweet potatoes and potatoes cannot appear out of thin air. I must at least see wild ones so that the buckle can be attached to them. As a result, Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy. Unexpectedly, the harvest was quite big. I actually saw a bush of sweet potatoes growing in the wild, and of course some yams. The most important thing is that she saw several fruit trees with wild grapes, wild mulberries, and the like. These things can all be eaten, at least they can supplement sugar and vitamins. Zhang Xiaoxiao put down his backpack and started digging yams and sweet potatoes. First, I put some sweet potatoes and potatoes in my backpack. These belong to my own space. Then I found a shovel and started digging seriously. After all, I have to give everyone an explanation. It would be unreasonable not to open up all this place. Where did these things come from? But with these sweet potatoes and potatoes, plus yams, and these grapes and mulberries, they probably have enough food for today. What makes Zhang Xiaoxiao even more happy is that if they keep going like this, they won't be afraid of climbing mountains for several days. As long as there is water and food on the mountain, this will be easy to solve. I'm just a little bit confused. Could it be that these people from the Medicine God Association want to cultivate everyone's ability to survive in the wild? But under normal circumstances, doctors do not have the conditions and opportunities to encounter such a situation. They are not doctors in a field hospital and need to survive in the wild. Suddenly I remembered the so-called Kunlun secret realm. Is it possible that the presidents of the 8 major families of the Medicine God Association know in their hearts that everyone in the so-called Kunlun secret realm will probably have to fend for themselves? That's why everyone needs to experience this kind of self-sufficient wild survival, so that they will have the ability to cope with it in the future. Of course, it may also be a method of survival of the fittest. If you can't figure it out for the moment, just put it aside for now. Anyway, you will always know the final answer later. Those old antiques from the Medicine God Association are not expecting anyone to spy on them here. Cameras are not that advanced in this era. Besides, I have been observing all the way from yesterday to today, but I didn't find any cameras. The occasional ones are scattered here and there, and the scope of sighting is not very large. Most of them are concentrated on the road up the mountain. However, it cannot be ruled out that these people from the Medicine God Association have set up people to observe in secret in other aspects. So you must be careful when doing things by yourself. Zhang Xiaoxiao was carrying a backpack and a wash basin in his hand. I had just brought a basin of water and planned to cook sweet potatoes and potatoes when I got back. But now in order to pick those mountain grapes and mulberries, she poured out the water in the basin. I can only use the wash basin to hold these fruits. My bag is already full of yams, potatoes, and sweet potatoes. There are quite a few in the ground, but Zhang Xiaoxiao really doesn't have the ability to take them. Luckily, I have a lot of yams in my space. There is always a way out. Wu Yang, Wu Yang. Zhang Xiaoxiao heard Bai Xiao's shout. Stop barking, look, you've scared away all my fish. Wu Yang said angrily. He was so decadent that he couldn't suppress the sense of failure in his heart. He spent half a day here and didn't catch a single small fish. Xiaoxiao, how are you doing there? Did you find anything to eat? Wu Yang saw Zhang Xiaoxiao standing there motionless holding a wash basin from a distance, and thought that Zhang Xiaoxiao had found nothing just like him. Hurry up and help me. I found a lot of things. I just found yams, sweet potatoes, and potatoes in the woods over there. There are also mountain grapes and mulberries I picked in this basin. They are all edible. The fruits will be sent back first to dry on the big rocks, and then we will use the wash basin to collect some water. I washed the yams, potatoes, and sweet potatoes by the stream, so that we can cook them and eat them when we get back. Cook these things and put them in your bag or carry them with you. They can be used as dry food on the road. This is our food today. Zhang Xiaoxiu's words immediately attracted a crowd of people cheering. It turned out that following Bai Xiao were 5 or 6 classmates who had made a fire with them last night. After everyone woke up in the morning, they suddenly discovered that Zhang Xiaoxiao and Wu Yang he disappeared, so we all went out together to look for him. I didn't expect such a surprise. Bai Xiao helped Zhang Xiaoxiao wash yams, potatoes, and sweet potatoes by the stream. Others quickly took the basin back and dried the fruits on the rocks. Then someone came with a basin to draw water. Some people consciously went to the woods to pick up branches to ensure that they could have a delicious breakfast this morning. You can have something to eat. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 890. Chapter 890, Life and Death Tribulation. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Bai Xiao are washing sweet potatoes. Young lady, you are so awesome, how come you know everything? Even if you let me see these things in the woods, I don't know they are edible. Bai Xiao's rainbow fart. This girl is really a child. She didn't see the admiration on her face and the stars in her eyes. I used to live in China in other places, so I know these things. Suddenly there was a loud noise. Zhang Xiaoxiao instinctively pulled Bai Xiao and hid next to a big rock. Then they saw a black bear breaking a tree that was blocking it, and walking toward them step by step boldly. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked around. This is the worst situation, because they are by a stream. In addition to a few rocks as a cover, the tree in the distance is still far away. In addition, this bear is obviously an adult black bear. And looking at the power of breaking the tree just now, you can know the basic strength of this bear. Not something they can contend with. You can usually climb a tree if you see a black bear. Even if there is a tree in front of them, is it useful for them to climb up? The bear can break the tree with one slap. So for the current plan, we can only hide as much as possible. If we can hide, we can hide. If we can't hide, we can only resign ourselves to fate. Bai Xiao had long been so frightened that her face turned pale. When Zhang Xiaoxiao saw the black bear appearing by the stream and the yams and sweet potatoes they had just washed, he pulled Bai Xiao around to the other end of the stone and covered Bai Xiao's mouth tightly. This girl was so frightened that she almost screamed. If he hadn't covered her mouth with his own hands, the two of them would have been exposed to the black bear now. The black bear saw these yams and potatoes, and curiously patted them here and there. Soon the sweet potatoes and potatoes were smashed into pieces, but it actually picked up the pieces and tasted them. Obviously the taste was not to his liking, so he gave up after taking a few bites. Then he drank some water by the stream and played with the fish in the water for a while. Finally, I left slowly and leisurely. Looking at the direction in which the black bear left, there was no trace at all. Both of them were so frightened that their hearts were beating loudly. No one knows what would have happened to the two of them if they had been discovered by a black bear just now. The two people quickly washed all the sweet potatoes and potatoes in their backpacks, stuffed them into their backpacks, and ran back with them wet. On the way, I met Wu Yang, who was about to go back to fetch water. He saw the two of them running very fast behind them as if they were being chased by ghosts. Wu Yang was still laughing at them. Chased by a ghost. Then Zhang Xiaoxiao was petrified. Bai Xiao pointed behind Wu Yang in fear. Wu Yang slowly turned around when he realized something was wrong, and saw the huge creature standing behind him, staring at him, a tiny ant, with an arrogant attitude. I was so frightened that I could hardly speak. The black bear was obviously very curious about this novel prey and slapped it in the face. Right? A slap. Wu Yang felt as if he had been hit hard by a crane. He flew out and hit the big tree behind him. Wu Yang felt like he was going to die, and his internal organs and lungs were in great pain. But he knew that he couldn't moan in pain or make a sound now. Facing the bear, he could only pretend to be dead. This bear is stronger than I thought. The black bear walked towards Wu Yang. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that it would not be easy to fool this bear. Although the bear was an animal, it was not stupid. It is just not as smart as humans. If the bear comes to Wu Yang, I'm afraid he will have to be tortured repeatedly to confirm whether Wu Yang is dead. In this process, Wu Yang would die from any fatal injury. How to save Wu Yang? Bai Xiao was scared to death. I won't cry even if I cry. Something flew out and landed behind the black bear. The loud sound obviously attracted the black bear's attention. The mountain-like body turned slowly, and glanced over casually. Bai Xiao was so frightened that he fell to the ground. The black bear didn't even look at them, but ran over to them, sniffed the things on the ground, and started to eat happily. Zhang Xiaoxiao pulled Bai Xiao around and helped Wu Yang up with difficulty. What did you give it? Wu Yang felt that it was miraculous that he had escaped from death. Honey, I happen to have a jar of honey in my backpack, otherwise we will all die. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others didn't talk nonsense and helped people evacuate. The road became unsafe. What Zhang Xiaoxiao was anxious about was that they had no weapons and faced the black bear with bare hands, and who knew what else. Isn't this going to cost someone's life? My own honey was an accident. If it weren't for the honey, people would be dead now. Is this how the Medicine God Association treats new students? Really killing people? Zhang Xiaoxiao even doubted what the Medicine God Association was doing. This was a disregard for human life. Back to the camp, yes. Camp. Now only the 5 students who were with them last night are left, and everyone else has left. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the 5 people and was surprised that they didn't leave. The 5 people blushed. Someone came back to report the news there was a bear, everyone should evacuate quickly. We. The reason they didn't leave was because they couldn't argue and wasted time. In fact, some of them also want to leave. But some of them disapproved of just abandoning their companions and leaving. Don't say anything else, let's leave quickly, the bear may appear at any time. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't want to worry about other things. Everyone is actually a stranger here. They have their own ideas and it is right to give priority to themselves. People hurriedly picked up their things. Boiled sweet potatoes, and yams were stuffed into backpacks, as well as fresh fruits. The wash basins were used as tools again. 8 people started walking up the mountain. At this moment, a plane suddenly appeared from the sky, which was very annoying. Because the plane flew through the sky and dropped boxes one after another. Silver metal box, and then the plane left, even ignoring their cries. This should be the test we face as freshmen. I heard my grandpa say before that every new student will face a test when reporting for admission, and the way of each test is different. And this trial and test should be a life and death disaster that has not been encountered in 100 years. The test tests everyone's survivability and adaptability. Of course, the final result of selection and elimination is only life and death. I didn't expect this to be true. It seems that those silver boxes should be supplies for us. If I remember correctly, Grandpa said that these supplies contain food, water, medicine, and weapons. We must find the box as soon as possible, otherwise we will have no weapons for self-defense and we will encounter a black bear next time. I don't know what the result will be. Wu Yang has recovered a long time ago after taking a pill of medicine he brought with him. Wearing a backpack, he pointed to the silver boxes that fell in the distance and expressed his own opinions. No one here except him had such experience. Zhang Xiaoxiao frowned. It seems that this time we have to face life and death. My own skills are barely adequate, but encountering black bears again and again is not a good thing. End of this chapter.